All right, everybody. Those are the victory horns. And they sound for Derrick Lewis. Sends the St. Louis faithful home happy. One lucky fan home with a used cup. And got to show 1/4 of the arena his hind parts after a win over Rodrigo Nascimento. I mean, it just perfectly capped off a fun, sort of weird, interesting fight card for the Ultimate Fighting Championship as we welcome you to the UFC St. Louis post-fight show here on MMAfighting.com. I am Mike Heck. Jed Meshew is here, Mr. No Gray Area himself. Hello, Jed.
Hello, Mike. Sorry, I'm also multitasking and letting the brilliance of Joaquin Buckley wash over me as I just bow to his genius.
Oh, I would say there's a very, very good chance. I'd say it's like minus 900 that'll be our largest segment in terms of time today, but we'll get to that in a moment.
What are you talking about? Mythical Derrick Lewis, baby.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about Derrick Lewis, of course, but then we're going to get to Joaquin Buckley, I'm sure. He was a big show stealer on this card. And joining us to talk about that and much more, New York Rick back on the post-fight show, and it's always a true pleasure when that happens. How are we doing, sir?
Blessed to be here on the back end of a great Derrick Lewis performance and just a banger from Joaquin Buckley and great use of his mic time. So I'm excited to be here and talk about that with you boys.
Great. Okay. I'm popping open a caffeinated beverage right now because we're going to get into this in a little bit. Just want to warm it up. Let's talk about Derrick Lewis first because he just goes out and does everything he needs to do. Derrick Lewis has put himself in a position where opponents really don't matter, rankings don't matter, title runs don't matter. People just love him. They love him showing up to media day on Wednesday. They just want to hear the man speak. Maybe even throw out a first pitch for their hometown baseball team before going and watching him compete inside the octagon. And he knocks out Rodrigo Nascimento in the third round. I don't think a lot of people were too surprised by that. And then he has the big celebration. Good post-fight speech with Michael Bisping. He's probably going to get a couple of free alcoholic beverage out of Mr. Bisping as well. So, Jed, I'll begin with you. What do we grade Derrick Lewis tonight?
Derrick Lewis is beyond things like grades. He exists in his own stratosphere. It doesn't matter, and he knows that as well. He's already kind of said, "Yeah, probably I fight for the money now, not really caring about the title such that he ever did, but he does want to, be better. He's fighting for himself in these ways, and we don't need to give him a score because who cares? Honestly, who cares?" He did the thing. He did exactly what we wanted him to do, what this card was functionally built around the idea that he would do of, hey, Derrick Lewis, just come in, knock some dude out, take your pants off, do something zany, say some cool stuff on the mic, have everybody leave here happy. We finally bring an event back to St. Louis the first time in forever. Let's send people out on a high note. And he did that. There were parts when it looked like maybe he wouldn't do it, but he ultimately comes through, does it. Mythical third round Derrick Lewis shines again. Just one of the great mythical fighters of the sport. And it was awesome. So props to you, Derrick Lewis. Like, that was way to go.
New York Rick, there's just some fighters that you just have a good time when they come on and they do their thing. And Derrick Lewis just seems like one of those guys. There's just pretty much anybody who watched that event, no matter how they felt about the rest of the card, if you went to the main event and got through that third round, watch Derrick Lewis knock out Rodrigo Nascimento and like see the celebration, everything that happened after the fact, you had a smile on your face. You felt pretty good about things. So Derrick Lewis gets it done. Your reaction?
Yeah, just Derrick Lewis. It was just a very Derrick Lewis performance. Like first two rounds, randomly shooting for takedowns, kind of a bit of a slog, sloppy. And then he finds the off button as he is wont to do and takes off his pants and moons the crowd and gets on the mic and says some outlandish stuff. And everybody goes home happy. So this is the Derrick Lewis experience, and he executed it to perfection tonight.
It was good stuff. Quote from the post-fight speech you can find on our social channel. Couldn't let no taxi cab driver from Brazil beat me. This is my first time ever hearing of that guy. It was a great line.
Terrific work.
This is my first time ever hearing of that guy. Is literally what he says coming in and out of every single fight, and it's not a gimmick. He truly doesn't know who any of these people are.
Well,
He's
I
like
mean, a
Max
lot of
Holloway.
them makes
What,
sense.
A lot of
what's he?
them.
Yeah, but what's he going to do differently if he has heard of the guy, right? Derrick Lewis' fighting style is not adapted by any opponent based on a game plan. Like, does he have to hear of these guys? Does he have to do research?
Oh
It's kind of
no,
just show up and swing the things like he does. So yeah, I
Not
wouldn't be
today.
surprised if he's
Today was
never learned.
Greco-Roman Derrick.
Yeah, NCAA Derrick Lewis. As he said before, he's the best blue belt in Texas. So let's not, denigrate his grappling because he's quite proficient.
the
I
shorts
mean,
came
I
off,
would agree.
and yeah, the shorts come off, and then this. I don't remember him doing this before, but Rodrigo Nascimento is on the ground, referee standing over him, and after he moves the shorts, he fans Rodrigo Nascimento with the dirty shorts, which I thought was
Yeah.
pretty funny as well. I
It's
can't
very
lie. I didn't
gentlemanly
see
of
that
him.
coming.
There were
he's
a
trying to
few
help out.
extras. He's elevating the balls was hot shorts off game now. Now there's the fanning of the opponent. Now there's the throwing the cup has been done before, but now there's a level of now tossing it to the media and then the mooning the crowd. Like he is just continuing to escalate what started with the balls are hot. And I'm all for it. Like it seems like people are having a good time with it. I certainly enjoyed it. So shout out to him and to the gentleman who caught the cup and celebrated like he won a Super Bowl. Shout out to him as well.
I mean, I talk about like how the rankings and stuff don't matter with Derek because you just see him on a poster and you're like, oh, I mean, this is gonna be fun. Derek Lewis is fighting, and it's just weird to do a matchmaking show and have to matchmake for Derek Lewis, just knowing that none of that matters. But to me, I just have to see the Jairzinho fight. That's just the way we have to do it. I don't think it's any secret where I'm going with this. What would you like to see, New York Rick? Does it even matter who it is?
No, nope, doesn't matter. Name a heavyweight. Tai Tuivasa. Anybody who's going to stand and throw hands with Derrick Lewis, let's do it. It doesn't matter if he's fought them before. Doesn't matter if they're highly ranked. Doesn't matter if they're lowly ranked. Doesn't matter if they're unranked. If you will stand and trade with Derrick Lewis, I will watch you fight, and I will watch Derrick fight you. So name them, and I'm in.
Jed, what would you like to see?
I mean, who's not down for the Jairzinho fight at this point, particularly with Robelis taking the L. There's no other fight that makes sense for either man. Just finally pull the trigger on it. But it honestly, by the same token, doesn't matter. Like, just don't give him a guy named Sergey, and that's fine. As long as you're not trying to do what the coward Rodrigo Nascimento tried to do with the takedowns. That's not what we're here for when Derrick Lewis is involved. We're here for the nonsense, and give me someone who will, engage in the nonsense with him. Feed the coward Waldo Cortez Acosta to Derrick Lewis. He deserves it after that absolutely shameful performance from him, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
I'm sure we're going. Oh yeah, there's a very real chance we're going to talk about that. So Derrick Lewis gets in the win column, but let's go to why everybody's here, because people have been hitting me up for the last hour or so, being like, when is the post-fight show happening? When are you guys going to talk about this? People were like legit thinking of Jed and I as Joaquin Buckley had a microphone being held in his face by Michael Bisping. They were waiting for our reaction to everything that would transpire. So let me set the table beautifully. UFC Atlantic City happens not all that long ago, and Joaquin Buckley goes out and just beats the hell out of Vicente Luque, gets the biggest win of his career. He's now going to be a ranked guy in a pretty deep division, and gets on the microphone, doesn't call it a name, says, I'm calling out Anheuser-Busch, but basically just like as a promo, I want to fight in St. Louis. This is what I want to do. Shows up at UFC 300 during the press conference, ill-timed in a lot of people's eyes, yells at Dana during the presser, I want to be the main event of UFC St. Louis. Derrick Lewis doesn't want to be the main event. Let's just do this. And Dana was just like, no, bye-bye. We're wrapping up this press conference. He ends up getting on this card, and he gets to fight Nursultan Rudzabayev, guy with a 9-fight winning streak, tall, dangerous guy who's looked really, really good as of late. And Joaquin is sort of a make or break moment for him. He needs to go out and deliver a performance, goes out, wins some rounds, wins the third round. Looked like he was just there was points where he could have finished the fight. Keith Peterson was just taking in all the violence tonight. Didn't want to stop any fights. I don't know if he was getting paid by the minute or whatnot. But Joaquin Buckley gets a big win. St. Louis crowd is screaming his name. Everything's coming up Buckley here. Every single thing is coming up Buckley. It's an A-plus night for him. And then he's asked the big question. What do you want next? Because he knows Michael Bisping's going to ask him. And there was lots of names there. Ian Gary, Colby, Shavkat, MVP. The list goes on and on and on and on. And Joaquin Buckley says, there's only one name to call out. It's a big, mighty name. It's Conor McGregor. And the collective groans amongst the MMA community has been incredible, myself included. But you could even hear it in the St. Louis crowd when he said Conor McGregor's name. They were screaming, yelling, and jumping. And everyone was having a great time. And then he said Conor's name, and it was like it was like a balloon deflating in that building. Even though they're still like, yeah, we love you, Joaquin. You could just feel the energy levels leave. So, Jed, I will begin with you here. We're waiting for this moment. Could Joaquin deliver in this pivotal spot? Because if he lost this fight, it would have been real bad for him. But winning and doing the thing on the microphone, it almost evened out a lot of the bad plays he was doing. I didn't even mention his MMA Hour appearance, which was also not great. It would have canceled a lot of this stuff out. He was all looking good, and then he says Conor's name, and then goes on. And by the way, let me also just say this before I let you react to this. Everything before that point was excellent from Joaquin Buckley, talking about his grandmother, the ALS. Everything was fantastic up until the Conor call. But Jed, he says Conor's name. What is your reaction to this?
Well, it was a tough beat for me because I was in our Slack being like, oh, look at Joaquin Buckley. He's doing okay on the microphone. The grandmother ALS stuff was like, that was perfect. Hey, if you're from St. Louis, stand up. It's not just me that brought this here. Y'all brought this here. We did this. Like, all of that was good. And then it's like watching someone go through, the rings, and they hit the Iron Cross and they hit all the cool things, and then the dismount, they just face plant dead on. Like, okay, well, you scored 2 and you no longer get to win a medal. Like, it was just, you can't do that. And there are some people who are trying to defend this because I genuinely don't know why. We just talk about it all the time, Mike. Like, you have so very few opportunities to exercise any level of control or agency over your career, and you just spent the biggest moment of your career to this point. Maybe this win is not maybe as meaningful as the Luque one because that gets you obviously a ranking, but this is in your hometown. The crowd popped for him. I was a little surprised at how over he was. I know this is in St. Louis, but still, like, he was very over there in a way that I kind of didn't anticipate. And they are with him for all of this. And like you said, they can't even support it because it's just stupid. It's never like, that fight is never going to happen. And this is not a situation where it's, well, it can never happen if I don't call for it. No, it can just never happen. There is a 0% chance. And so instead of taking the time to dictate your future in the welterweight division, which you didn't do for this one, you just called for this this fight. And all we did was talk about how this is a very limited upside fight for you. Yes, you are getting to fight in St. Louis. You're fighting a tough dude who no one knows about, which is like the exact opposite of what you want to do. Now you've done the same thing. You've given the UFC no real reason to get behind you in a meaningful way. You've exercised no control over where your career is going in one of the few times you have an opportunity to do that. If he had gotten out there and been like, hey, UFC's coming to Perth. There's an Aussie dude out there who's like a top 6 or whatever he's ranked, and I would like to get in there with Jack Della Maddalena. He's not quite in the he can't quite get into a title fight right now. I want to make there. Let me come to Perth. I'll fight Jack Della. You know what's happening? He's fighting Jack Della in Perth. That's what's going to happen for him. Now, who the hell knows? He might have to fight some other unnamed Uzbek dude and just like keep running the risk of getting gassed up by somebody. It's so bad. And it's so infuriating to watch this dude get the ball to the 5-yard line and then just punt it into the end zone for a turnover.
New York Rick. So we were talking a little bit before this. New York Rick doesn't agree necessarily with what we're saying. He's on he's looking at this through a different lens. So New York Rick, please
not
state your
even
case.
a little.
Why was this an amazing call out from Joaquin Buckley?
No, please don't put those words in my mouth. It was not an amazing call out by any means. Let me preface this by saying, like, I think Joaquin Buckley's like a little bit goofy. Like, I don't think I'm going too far out of bounds to say that he's just a little bit goofy. He does stuff that's just a little bit random and doesn't really like hit for me. It doesn't do it for me personally. But this idea that like the only time you can convert any cachet into getting what you want is when you have that microphone after the fight is kind of just not real and not accurate. Like, the conversion rate on that is not high enough for me to believe that, like, yeah, you really have got this one opportunity when you hop on the mic, and if you say that magic name that really works for everybody, you're going to get it. I've just not seen that to be true. It's just not
literally
true.
Tonight. Bryce Mitchell got a fight booked functionally with Sean Woodson.
Yeah, that fight,
literally tonight that happened.
That fight is booked now on Twitter. Is that fight booked? Is that fight going to happen? Like,
no, but like acting as if this doesn't ever happen when literally an hour before this.
That's the problem.
Happened.
You're reacting to I accepted your fight on Twitter, and then if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Moicano's been calling for Paddy for a lifetime every time he gets a microphone. If he gets Paddy, yeah, great. That's successful. If he doesn't, then we're not going to go back and do an accounting of all the times that he called for him and didn't get him. You're just going to go, well, he wasted the mic time. The reality is those conversions are not like super high. Like, there's just not a reality. Also, secondarily, like, that's not the end of his conversation with the UFC. Like, it's not he has the mic and calls somebody and then all of a sudden, like, there's no negotiation going on behind the scenes. He can't, or his manager can't call for Jack Della Maddalena and get that fight, to the point where he went onto a microphone at the biggest event of UFC 300 at the press conference and demanded he gets the headlining spot and didn't get it. He doesn't have that kind of power. He doesn't have that kind of cachet where he can call his shot like that. And if he asked for XYZ opponent, there's really no guarantee that if he hops on the mic, he gets it. So alternatively, knowing that you're Joaquin Buckley and not Conor McGregor and not somebody like Nate Diaz, who can kind of dictate your future in that way, getting the most attention on what you're doing isn't a bad strategy. Now, again, let me preface this. I think it's goofy. It doesn't work for me. I'm not interested in it. But there are enough people talking about Joaquin Buckley and what he said and creating graphics for it and spreading the word that a ho-hum call out of some 7th ranked guy isn't necessarily the best thing if he's not guaranteed to get that 7th ranked guy. You will never be able to convince me that this idea that like the magic microphone for guys like Joaquin Buckley is going to guarantee that he gets that fight. It's just not true. It is not true. Will maybe that 7th ranked guy tweet him and be like, yeah, it's on, sign the deal? Sure. Does that mean they're ultimately going to fight? No, it doesn't. And it's just not a real thing.
That's the thing though, Rick. I've never in any place did I say, yes, you do this and you are guaranteed to do this, but it is exercising some agency as opposed to whatever the UFC is going to give you. You're absolutely right.
Wait,
It doesn't guarantee him shit. This is my time, baby. You're right. It doesn't guarantee him shit. But being the 85th dude to call out Conor doesn't guarantee him anything other than a night of us saying that and everyone be like, what a douche. Like, that was lame of him to be the nth dude who does that. And yes, we are talking about it. But as I made the point to someone else we were talking privately, we'd be talking about if he shit his pants. I don't think it's a good idea to go out there and take a dump in the middle of the cage just because we'd be talking about it. Like, that's such a ridiculous platform to be on. Well, we're talking about it more than we would.
It's literally what Derrick Lewis does.
Making fun of him isn't ideal.
It's literally what like Derrick Lewis's whole gimmick that we're all enjoying at the moment is to do that. No,
he's not shitting himself. He's taking his pants off. I agree.
Sorry.
If he wants to take his pants off, awesome. But
so if Joaquin Buckley took his pants off instead, then we're going to celebrate.
That is a substantially better post-fight effort.
It's just silly. It's just silly.
The importance
of the post-fight call out is just like way overblown. You're like, why could he not go to Dana White or the matchmakers and say, I actually do want JDM. Hey, serious moment here for a second. Get me JDM. He can. So what? So why does he have to capitalize on that mic moment to get the tweet from JDM?
Because it is better to get the tweet. It is better to get any amount of public
more people
energy
will talk
behind
about the
a
Conor
fight.
thing. More people will talk about the Conor.
I missed you. What did you say? Sorry,
more people will talk about the random Conor McGregor call out. More people will give attention to that. It will be the umpteenth one. It will be the millionth one. It will continue to drive more attention than a ho-hum call out of some ranked guy that you can do behind the scenes. There's nothing precluding it. He can call out JDM. He can go to this post-fight press conference right now and be like, hey, that was for the show. I was sitting there with the mic and it was hot and the crowd's in front of me. Calmer moment. I want JDM, like realistically. Or somebody asks him in the post-fight press conference, you're not going to get Conor McGregor. Who do you actually want? Who's a realistic opponent for you? JDM, give him to me. And everything's fine. And we move on. It's not some like silver bullet, magic bullet rather, that like you call somebody out in the post fight and all of a sudden your fortune is set. It's fine. It was fine.
Again,
It was
no one has ever said that it guarantees. But the idea that it does not at all play a factor is objectively incorrect.
It does.
Objectively, we have seen people do this successfully.
Bilal Muhammad still has not. Bilal Muhammad still hasn't gotten a title shot. Still has not gotten a title shot.
So
and I'm not saying it's. He has made.
What does Bilal have to do with it?
And awful callouts after every one of his fights. Every single one, he has made an awful.
So doesn't this prove my point?
No, she hasn't called out Leon,
which
has actually been bad.
What I'm saying,
but I'm not with Mike on this.
This proves my point.
No.
Like he's making bad callouts and not getting
your
them.
Point is, no, your point was it means nothing. Doesn't move you forwards, doesn't move you backwards. You basically just
that's not my point. My point
that's what
is,
you just said.
No, you're misunderstanding. My point is, if it's ultimately not some kind of essential guarantee, if it is ultimately not something that you're guaranteed to get the most attention. Do what will get you the most attention, period. That is the move. If you can behind the scenes or even again at the post-fight press conference or elsewhere, then say, actually, look, obviously I know I'm not going to get Conor McGregor. That was for TV. Get me JDM. Fine. It's the same thing. It's fine. It doesn't need to be in that forum, in that moment, at that exact thing. To your point, Bilal's calling for people and not getting them. Like that's
exactly. It doesn't. Now he's fighting backwards. That's the thing. He calls out Usman or Colby, and then he fights Sean Brady. And yes, he wins that fight, but still, like that's what he was getting. He was getting Jeff Neal and getting Vicente Luque. What he deserved better, but he wouldn't call out the right person to get him.
Okay, so you have to call out the exact right person that the UFC.
If he called out Hamzat Chimaev after either of those wins over Jeff Neal or Vicente Luque, he would have gotten Hamzat Chimaev 1,000%.
So Hamzat and gets him, but it can't be Kamaru because Kamaru who fought Hamzat. That's not the
who is the champion.
It just doesn't make sense.
Who is the champion? He called for a title shot after being like the 11th ranked dude.
I think you're being intentionally obtuse about this, Rick.
I'm not. I think you are vastly overestimating this idea of like nailing this one person.
You're misinterpreting
in a
what we're saying.
Moment.
No, you're misinterpreting what we're saying. Maybe I'm misinterpreting what you're saying. I'm saying just because you call out a guy doesn't necessarily mean that you get it. Look at what JDM did after he beat Gilbert Burns. Did he call Conor McGregor to get attention? No. He called out fucking Hamzat or Shavkat Rakhmonov, and everybody around the MMA community praised him unanimously. There's not one person who was like, "Oh, this is bad use of the microphone." We were like, "Damn, this guy's a gangster. He might not get this fight, but he could, and if he does, like, I want to watch it." What he built up just for that call out was fantastic. He became, even after Sean O'Malley put on the performance that he put on, even after MVP made his debut, even after Dustin freaking Poirier went out there and busted up Benoit Saint-Denis, still one of the top storylines coming out of UFC 299 was JDM's comeback win over Gilbert Burns. But not only that, the fact that he called out the
I don't agree with
Shavkat Rakhmonov.
I don't remember having that kind of
show.
It didn't have that kind of impact. It just
yes,
didn't.
It did. Yes, it did.
It didn't.
It absolutely did.
Nobody remembers this.
Absolutely did.
When?
I actually do. But here's the thing. I think we just aren't going to agree on this because fundamentally part of what you were saying, Rick, I think, if I'm wrong, feel free to correct, is that just like max attention is the best. Whereas again, I just disagree fundamentally with that. I understand that as like a premise of marketing, but like, I don't know. I think bad attention is bad attention. My question for you, and I'm genuinely interested in this. Sean, so I referenced it before. Sean Woodson calls out Bryce Mitchell. Now, that fight may not end up getting booked. However, do it in the other side. If Sean Woodson goes out there and calls out Conor McGregor, maybe we talk about it a little more because Conor is the biggest star in the sport, and that's a thing that happens.
Yeah.
For me, I am more interested in him calling out Bryce Mitchell and Bryce Mitchell responding, because now I am thinking about a fight with him that I would not have thought about previously. And then I probably, like, I'm not going to spend a ton of time because Bryce Mitchell and Sean Woodson, but that's a thing that we may get in actuality. And I am now thinking, as opposed to my two reactions to the call out of McGregor are, that's stupid. And if you are in a prime position, that's real stupid. I wish you did better. Like, because we are talking about it now because there's not, like, frankly, a whole ton of stuff to talk about tonight. But like, the conversation ends in the next 3 hours. No one will talk about this ever again. And whereas like next week, I might think, oh, Sean Woodson
No,
Mitchell gets booked.
You won't.
That'll
You
be
won't
fun.
think about Sean Woodson and Bryce Mitchell.
I will
next
think
week.
about
That
it
also
exactly the
dies
same amount of times I will think
instantaneously.
about Conor McGregor versus
That's right.
Joaquin Buckley.
That's right. So because you'll think about them exactly equal, which is not much at all, then that makes the point. Yes, like, it's not that significant. It doesn't really.
That's the thing.
Much.
I think that makes the point for me, because if they are equal, one of these has at least in some way potentially manifested a real thing for fighter X down the line, whereas the other has no chance of doing that. And that's my point. Again, I'm not saying that it is, you only have to, and this will absolutely, I'm saying that you have limited time and this is a way to make something happen. It is not a guarantee, but you have done nothing by calling Conor except for us mocking you for the evening, which, again, per marketing, maybe that has some value. I just disagree that is meaningful, good value.
Let me simplify my point, because I feel like it's getting a little bit confused. A fighter the caliber and standing in the company of Joaquin Buckley isn't calling his shot, period. Like, that's just not how it works. And so ultimately, this idea that it's going to advance you like a little bit closer, I just don't agree with it. I just don't think it happens. Like, that fight will potentially be proposed to him. Maybe it won't, maybe it will, but I don't think it will hinge upon that call out. When you're getting to the upper echelon, when you are getting to the level of the Conor McGregors or even Michael Chandler's, those level of fighters, then the use of the mic time, I think, is more important. I would still say that it is overestimated to a high degree by many people in the MMA space, but more significant. I just don't see like enough of a huge return that I would rather personally, I would rather have the attention. I would rather, at least even if it's fleeting, even if it's for that night, even if it's for everybody to say, this is goofy. Again, I will restate my position. I think it is extremely goofy and it is not for me. But I think that is a better strategy wholesale. That's it. Like, Joaquin Buckley is not in position to really call the shot.
I get it. I just think we were just fundamentally opposite here and we're never going to agree.
Oh yeah, we're not even going to meet in the middle here. It's just not happening, and that's fine. And you know, at the end of the day, it wouldn't have mattered anyway because Derrick Lewis stole all his shine anyways with what he did post fight. So it doesn't matter if he made the perfect call. If he called it MVP in Manchester and MVP tweeted him back, I could at 1,000,000% see that happening, and I actually think that's what he should have done. I said he should have done that after the Luque win, but it didn't matter.
Why can't he fight MVP though? He can still fight MVP and he can still fight JDM.
It could happen. It could,
and it's not going to not because he didn't call him out in the post fight,
right? But I think the percentages drop a little bit, is what I'm trying to say, because it looks bad when the lights are on you brightest and you use your moment to do something, and then you do interviews after, and you're like, nah, I made a mistake. I actually want this.
Like,
you
need
to hit it on that spot.
I honestly don't know if I've ever seen a crowd like react mid-interview negatively to a guy that's an impressive feat to be like, oh hell yeah, stand up St. Louis, and then they're like, oh, like
his crowd too, like his own crowd kind of turned out.
Oh, it was so bad. I'll never forget that sound. That was like the ground ball back to Keith Folk in the World Series, where the Red Sox are about to win the World Series. That's like Keith Folk, instead of underhitting the ball to the first baseman, he throws the ball into the crowd, and the Cardinals go on a big run. It was just so funny to hear it. I'm like, all right, here's your chance. Like, it's all right there for you, Joaquin. Come on, man, do the thing. Do it, please. And he called Conor out, and I was like, oh my God. And just the sound of that crowd just spoke. It just spoke. It was hilarious. We have bonuses, guys. We have bonuses.
Joaquin Buckley did not show. These are lost in the sauce.
These are the easiest bonuses of all time. No,
easiest bonuses in the world. Just don't want to get lost in the sauce. well done, Joaquin Buckley, like for the fight. There were parts of
Sure.
it that I didn't love, but like you took on we talked about it beforehand. This is a tough opponent, not a huge name, a lot of risk, minimal reward, and you came out as well as you could from the fight part of it. Like you did a very
Yeah.
good job on a quick turnaround in the co-main event of your hometown. Sure, you made the crowd kind of groan, but overall, still well done, and you deserve your praise for that.
Completely agree. It was an A+ night for him up until he said Connor and then called Connor's ancestors hoes. And then that's kind of how that all went. But what are
People
the
like
bonuses,
that. I
guys?
was not into that part of it either, but that's a whole separate thing.
Yeah, it wasn't great. What do we got for bonuses? What do you think? You said it's the easiest
Ulberg.
one. There's some good
Yeah.
ones here. Is there a
Ulberg.
fight of the night? Is there not a fight in the night? That's the
There's a
question
fight
as
of the
well.
night.
Oh,
There sure is.
yeah. It's Waters, right? And
Yeah,
Goff.
Waters Goff is for sure fight
Yeah.
of the night.
Yep.
I'm trying
But
to
only
look at the
two of
card
these
now.
finishes.
What was the other crazy knockout?
No, Ulberg and Rebovich. Terrence
Rebovich.
McKinney's still
Rebovich.
laying against the cage.
Rebovich and Ulberg, and
Yeah.
the Waters and Goff fight.
Correct.
What?
Rebovich did not get a bonus.
What? Are you kidding?
I swear to all that is holy.
I
Unless they're making a new graphic. Carlos Ulberg gets a bonus. The 39-year-old gentleman himself, Carlos Diego Pereira.
I'm with that.
I was about to say that
but
sucks
no.
for CDF because like he deserves some action, but clearly he was not going to win
Nah,
a performance bonus. Still shouldn't have gotten it.
I mean,
Yeah.
I really most of the time I really like I'm not very like up and down about bonuses. Like I'm kind of like okay, like you know it could have gone to here, could have gone to here. Rebovich not getting a bonus is like stupid. It's the dumbest
That's
thing
ridiculous.
that happened tonight. That's
one
ridiculous.
that is going to be in the knockout of the year conversation at the end of the year. I don't know.
He
if
slumped
it's
him against the
It was
cage.
easily the best knockout
Yeah.
of the year of tonight.
Yeah, Terrence McKinney.
That's
I mean, Terrence. He
crazy.
had Terrence McKinney. He had Terrence McKinney talking while he was unconscious to himself.
Yeah.
like that was
Yeah.
scary.
Terrence
so hopefully he
McKinney
gets like a
wild.
backdoor bonus.
years just in the land of forever slumped to the cage. I
Nah,
can't
man,
believe
that's-
that. I
that's-
thought
that's
I didn't even look. I was like, yeah, 100% Ulberg and Rebovich got it, and then 100% Waters Golf. Like I didn't have to consider this. And then I was like, oh, that sucks for CDF. Good performance, but not the kind that gets bonuses. Wow.
Yep. But
that's
yeah.
crazy.
Who
Yeah,
knows?
dude.
Maybe
I mean,
he's
just
injured.
a
Rebovich-
mistake.
Was
Truly,
it
just
good?
an error. That's just an unforced error. That's a real bad mistake right there.
Dude, who I feel bad for Rebovich's coaches, and ever like he was doing the money sign after. Everyone was like, yeah, you got a 30-second KO. Twitter was like, that just pay him. He's obviously gonna get it. And they didn't. Damn.
I mean, even Chase Hooper didn't like get up, but Chase looked freaking incredible. He dropped a 10-7 in most people's eyes, and then
Chase
gets
looked
the
great.
weird finish. But he looked great
Chase looked
too.
great, and it was just like,
Weird
yeah, he's not
finish
going to
means
get a
he was
bonus.
never gonna get it.
It's also just
And
like
also
he's not going to get it.
30-second knockouts.
Yes, these two
Yeah.
KOs were like obvious, like the most obvious in a decently long time to be like, yeah, pay these guys. What is happening here?
It's crazy.
Anyway,
How
we're
about
droning
that?
on about it, but like, yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy stuff.
Yeah. Yes, Carlos Ulberg, 12-second knockout. Dude is a savage. Shout out to Alonzo Menafield for just running right into fists because that's essentially what he did. And I don't know why guys just continue to go into these fights thinking like, hey, I'm just going to run at him and that'll get him. And then he just knocks them out in a minute, like every single time. Dude's got the death touch right now. He's looked real good. It's going to be real interesting. I want to see him and Bogdan fight. I think that's just fun as hell, and someone's going to sleep real quick. Mentioned Diego Ferreira. What a performance against Matusz Rebecki. Rebecki coming in on this nice streak. Was Rebecki the biggest favorite on the card, Jed?
Yeah.
He was the biggest favorite on the card, and
I'm
CDF just
trying to think in
reminded
case I
everybody.
missed someone, but I'm pretty sure. Zurbetzky was
I'm
like
pretty-
minus
yeah.
500. Hadley was a
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
big one though, but I don't remember exactly how big. Hadley, I can look that up.
Yeah. Sean
Hadley
Woodson
was
beats
also
Alex
fairly big.
Caceres. Let me just say this. I'm going, if there's one fight on this card I'm going back to rewatch, it's Sean Woodson versus Alex Caceres because I just don't see a world where Alex Caceres didn't win the third round. Like, I just don't see it. And I thought Caceres won too. Like, I think if there was a question to be had on one of those rounds going to Sean Woodson, it would have been, okay, maybe I could see you giving round 2 to Sean Woodson. Like, maybe I could see it. Round 3, I didn't see it. All 3 judges, all 3 of them scored round 3 for Sean Woodson.
I actually think 3 was the close round. For me, I had Caceres 2 and 3. Like, I had Caceres winning 2 and 3. But if one was a toss-up, I would have said 3. Because I think 2, he kind of like completely changed the momentum, took it over, and did way better work. And Woodson kind of looked a little bit lost in the sauce. The third, I think Woodson was like, the volume was lower, but he was landing some pretty clean, pretty decent shots. I just thought Caceres was a little bit better there. So I think third was the toss-up for me. But I had him winning. I had Caceres winning 2 and 3. I was surprised to hear 30-27 Woodson, truly. Like, I thought he had to win one of those rounds. Although I will say, like, it was kind of like not like neither guy put their impression on that fight in some major way. You could walk away with some crazy cards for that. So I'm not surprised that we did, because if you leave it to judges of MMA, like, they will find ways to do that. But I had Caceres 2 and 3. So I was a little bit shocked by 30-27.
Yeah.
I had Caceres 2 and 3, but I was not paying attention to the third round that closely. So
I'll go back and rewatch
just so you know, about 2/3 of the media had Caceres winning, and the rest had Woodson winning. So you guys are pretty much right on.
Yeah, we're in the majority here. Yeah.
Yeah. I think one media member had 30-27, and he should probably just not do this anymore.
Well, you got it with the judges. Maybe he's the
local boxing judge who scored at 30-27 for Sean Woodson, which we found out. But yeah, good win for Sean. Calls out Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell responds before the interview is even over.
I mean, responded
it's already
quick.
Made.
Bryce Mitchell was one of 6 fighters watching tonight, apparently. Not a lot of fighters are paying attention tonight.
You know who you can always count on? Hanato Moicano. He watches every single card.
Is money.
Up a storm. Yeah, Money Moicano. You can count on him.
Watching Hanato Moicano watch along with Chase Hooper's fight was one of my favorite things the entire night. It was great. What wasn't great was, I mean, we should definitely talk about this. Chase Hooper looked tremendous. Esteban Rivich, KO of the year contender for sure. Tabitha Ricci defeats Tisha Pennington.
Sharknado
Fitzgerald comes through. I thought
it's on site. If I ever see Fitzgerald, it's on site. I don't care that you're like 7 inches taller than me.
You are the origin of the Sharknado. You have coined it for this fight.
I feel like I did. I mean, I can't say that definitively, but I've been big up in the Sharknado plan, and Fitzy came with it. I mean, we know he watches, because everyone watches the MMA Fighting Podcast Network and YouTube channel. It's the best.
Brendan's been on a few times. He's been on a few times. But I mean, use the gimmick well. And then Laura Sanko was just blown away the whole time. Oh, I still can't believe he came up with that. Even Bisbing, they just kept talking about the Sharknado.
I thought it was great. I didn't realize that it came from inside. I didn't realize that it came from inside our own organization.
Oh, I mean, that was
35 minutes on BTL talking about it. Oh yeah, we were thinking we had people chiming in with different sort of disaster animal combos.
Gator Quake.
Okay, you know what?
Is the best one.
Now I'm more like riled up. I do think we need to have a word with Brendan. Like, I think we need to like press this.
What's your Derek claim? Gator Quake.
Gator Quake. Lazy Bed. That's
if Brendan Fitzgerald said Gator Quake on the broadcast.
Is Gator Quake an actual like B movie one? Is that an
no?
Actual,
that's gonna be ours. I'm writing
it.
Gator Quake and Orkanami.
Orkanami. Okay.
We're gonna have a lot of fun with this. It was the best, and when Fitzy dropped it, I was like, he knows. Fitzy listens to No Bets Barred and watches BTL.
No doubt about it.
Right.
Trey Waters, Billy Goff, tremendous fight. Shout out to New England's own Billy Goff. It's just that's every Billy Goff fight, by the way. Like literally every Billy Goff fight is that. So always a game.
I love that. So I'll watch 10 more of those. Thank you.
Oh yeah, he's fun. Super fun. Charles Johnson gets a win over Jake Hadley at home. Veronica Hardy continues on. She gets another victory.
St. Louis 3-0 tonight. The St. Louis parlay.
Oh, wow, yeah. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that's right. Well, I thought Woodson lost, but I mean, yeah, that's solid work by the St. Louis folks out there.
They stood up represented.
They sure did. Well, let's talk about one other fight that got a lot of attention. It was the main card opener for this card. Heavyweights, a lot of people had their eye on this one. It was Robelis Despaigne, Cuba's own, who just doesn't fight for more than 18 seconds. He fought for like 18 combined seconds in his three prior fights. Goes to the UFC, fights for 19 seconds. Long night at the office for him. Tonight he fights Waldo Cortez Acosta. And this is I feel like this isn't a victory lap, but I feel vindicated because this fight came up on to the next one, and I was like, don't do that. Please do not book this because this is not going to be fun. And people are like, oh, I think you're crazy. Like, you're still going to get him out of there. No, this is why you stay away from these kinds of fights. You stay away from the risk that Robelis might actually be tackled in his second UFC fight. You let this man go out there and you let him, as Jed likes to say, you let him be the big booper. You let him boop, and then we move on to the next one. And then eventually we know he's going to get tackled in a fight and lose. But let's at least have some fun until we get there. Waldo Cortez Acosta fights the perfect game planned fight, just kind of waits for Robelis to swing as hard as he can and hit real hard, takes him down. We realize that Robelis Despaigne after UFC 299, he's like, you guys think I'm a great striker. Wait till you see me grappling. I'm really good at that too. Turns out not too good on the ground. Waldo just kind of like top positioned him and had very little trouble doing so. And just not what we expected here. So New York Rick, Robelis Despaigne shines.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Why does every striker say that? Why does every striker feel the need to be like, I'm an amazing striker, but wait till you see, like when Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira are like, my ground game, wait till you see my sneaky underrated ground game.
That's BJJ black belt, Alex Pereira. Thank you very much.
I don't want to see it. I don't care. It's probably not any good, as we've seen from you just mentioning that Despaigne is like saying that. I don't give a shit. Don't show me your black belt. I want to see you strike. That's what I'm watching for. Why does every striker do this? I'm one of the best strikers who's ever walked this effing planet. I'm amazing. But man, you should really see my blue belt BJJ. No thanks. Nope. Don't care. Don't need it. Save it. Keep it at home. Anyway, that's just like, I hate that. I hate that so much when they always talk about this shit.
Yeah. Ian Gary too said goes, oh, I'm telling you right now, I might be the best grappler pound for pound in the world, and you guys just don't know it. Just love it.
Don't believe you. Even more people don't want to see it.
What a gimmick. What a gimmick. But yes, New York Rick, we watched 15 minutes of this fight. Didn't think we'd get past 15 seconds to some degree, but yeah. Boy, we got the whole thing here. Did you get your money's worth? And if so, how much money did you get?
Thankfully, I wasn't investing much in this. Yeah, I wasn't paying too much to watch this. I have 3 thoughts coming off this. Number 1, don't hate Cortez Acosta's game plan. Like, I find it hard to argue with the idea of like, this is my path to victory, I should take it. I know a lot of fans don't love this, but I blame that more on booking than the game plan, right? Like if you are facing this opponent, that should be what you do, right? You should make it a grindy kind of takedown fight. He has no takedown defense, as we've clearly seen, and just be there. So that's number 1. Number 2, if you're going to do that though, and he looks as hapless on the ground as he does, Cortez Acosta, like, man, you probably should have finished that fight. Like, that's not a good sign for you on the rest of your UFC career. Like, that dude was drowning and you couldn't take him out of there. Not great. Like, you should be able to smoke him once you have it on the mat. So not good there. And then third, like, Despaigne, like, it's time to get in camp with Derrick Lewis and learn just get up. Like, you need to be in the lab learning the big man strength-based moves to just get off your ass when you're in that position. And doing nothing else. Because like clearly the grappling's not going to be there. You're too long in the tooth and you're too young in the MMA game. He probably should be on the regional scene and not fighting like UFC level opponents at this point in his career. So he's probably in a bad spot just in general. Like it's not going to get any easier and it's probably going to go pretty much like this from now on. But you need some moves that get you off the bottom ASAP. And who better than Derrick Lewis? Like he has proven time and time again that he's able to do that. So figure out what kind of things he's doing, what kind of technical things he's doing and using his size to be able to do, and replicate that and add that to your arsenal, and then hope that most people stand up with you. And if they don't, use that. But those were my 3 thoughts immediately.
I mean, anything you want to add to that, Jed? I mean, it's just So I agree with so much that New Yorker just said there.
I agree with almost all of it. And by I agree with all of it, my three thoughts were, one, shout out Josh Parisian. You understood the assignment. Obviously, Waldo Cortez Acosta did not understand the assignment. Two, we shouldn't be surprised, right? Like, this dude started fighting 2 years ago. He's been a Taekwondo fighter his whole life, and he's literally started MMA like less than 2 years ago. It's not stunning that this happened, but like my view, and I think most people's like, well, I don't think Waldo Cortez Acosta has ever shot a takedown in the UFC. He's a former boxer / baseball player or whatever. So it's like, yeah, he's just going to stand with him. And I was like, maybe he's just really durable, but then he fought very smartly. And third, I hate it and think it was lame because it's not the outcome I wanted. Objectively, a very smart game plan. And also just like kind of impressive in the totality of the game plan. Because the game plan wasn't just, I will tackle him and then he will no longer hit me and I will win. Like on the feet, he was doing a lot of things to force Robelis to get into clinching position. You know, he was drawing him in, fading against the fence, kind of covering up, very aware of what Robelis was trying to hit him with and trying to get to his spots in a pretty educated way. Super disappointing he couldn't finish this, but it's not really disappointing because Waldo Cortez Acosta is not very good at fighting. He's like a fine heavyweight. He's not a top 15 kind of talent. But it was a bummer that he did not understand the assignment at all and thought he was there to win when he was supposed to make us all happy about the big booper.
Dana White just spoke to the media. Was asked about
it went
this.
Great, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to talk about some of the bullshit that I'm seeing on social media, but Dana White was asked. David Martin tweets this out. Dana White on Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Robelis Despaigne. Quote, if I was giving out a bonus on shittiest fight of the night, end quote, ... end quote. That was what Dana White had to say about that fight. So never a good thing when Dana throws that out there. Just ask Movsar Evloev how that works. So,
not good.
Oh well.
Give WCA to Derrick Lewis.
Yeah.
Try that nonsense against Derrick Lewis. See how that goes.
Just get up, baby. He's up.
He will
He's
just get up and then he will flying knee you.
Yep.
Yes.
Dude,
And
the
then
Derrick
he will
Lewis
tell
flying
you-
knee. Go ahead. Finish the thought, Jed.
Then he will tell you after he's finished knocking you out that he's never heard of you before.
And fan your lifeless body with his shorts.
I couldn't lose to that Dominican dude. I never heard of that motherfucker before.
The Derrick Lewis flying knee is like sneaky, one of the like cheat moves. Like he closes distance, he's up there high. You'd think it would be like a fade or like take your head off, like a throwback to that. But he somehow finds a way to kind of get in on people with it, and it's pretty impressive.
Because he's incredibly athletic.
He really is. He's a monster. He's a monster. All right, let's bring in Casey. Let's take some questions, some thoughts. I'm sure Waldo Cortez Acosta's performance is going to come up quite a bit.
Right.
Guys, you will be happy to know that Dana White has confirmed John Jones Stipe still happening, apparently, likely in New York. It was Dana's comment. It's like, yeah, it's likely going to happen in New York. So we're still just waiting until November.
More time to build the
it.
anticipation, baby. Yes. The
They
biggest
will never
fight of the
quit that
year.
fight.
Can't wait till Stipe gets hurt in October and we wait till next November.
No, but if
Honestly, I hope that happens and this just becomes a thing. Like at the end of Jimmy Kimmel when he's like, and sorry to Matt Damon, we just cut for time. It's like, and sorry to Stipe and John, we got cut for time. Next time we come to Madison Square Garden.
I will say this. I think if it falls apart again, I do think they will ultimately do some of the fights we want. That's what I think will happen. So I wouldn't be mad about a falling apart. No, it's not a guarantee. It's definitely not.
We're gonna get Conor versus Buckley. Are you saying we're getting Conor versus? Yes.
No.
The fights we've all been craving, Casey. Conor versus Buckley, baby.
See, callouts work. Apologize.
No, but if Stipe in September is just like, yeah, I can't get there. I don't think it's out of the question that they're just like, yeah, New York John versus Tom, New York John versus whoever. I could see it. Alex, hey Alex, it's time. Step up. Yeah. I wouldn't count it out. So I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, I
maybe
didn't
it works
realize
out in our
Alex
favor.
was the fight we cared about because it's not the fight I care about at all.
It's not second. It's second for me. One is
It's
Tom.
not.
Sure.
I truly
Okay.
don't.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
John fighting
That's
Alex.
fair. 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 I won't debate that. I like it, but I won't.
All right, hey, we got some super chats first.
By the way, Dana White asked about Joaquin Buckley actually getting Conor McGregor for a fight. One word answer: no. Just throw that out there.
Yeah, no shit.
That's awesome.
No explanation. No.
No. Next question.
But people are talking.
here.
People are talking.
People are talking, baby.
Oh, amazing. So excited. Lopsided. Coming this September is the 18-month mark since John's last fight. Who's going to have the testicular fortitude to remove him from their rankings? Hashtag CCBG, which I know what that is.
Well,
Don't we have
there are
to?
two things here. We
That's
have
our-
to.
yeah.
That is our rule,
he's
so we have to. And two, he has been progressively dropping in my heavyweight rankings, and he is not in my pound for pound rankings at all. So yeah, you got to fight more than once this decade.
So the answer is Jed. Jed is the brave soul.
I mean, we will all remove him because we will physically have to. But
Yeah.
In September,
I'm
he's
already
gone
ready
out
to
of the
dump him.
rankings.
If
But by the
heavyweight
way-
was a better division, I would have cut him.
He should. Why should he be in the rankings? Like, if you're not fighting, get out of the rankings. That's fine. Nobody
I
should
agree.
be like clinging to this idea like John Jones has to be ranked. No, he's not fighting. That's fine. And when he
So-
comes back and then wins again, you put him back in. That's fine.
I didn't realize it was 18 months though. Jesus,
Yeah, that
that's
is a
so
bit.
long.
So by the
was
time
March
they
of
actually,
last year.
yeah. So say if they do book this fight in October, we'll just say that means we will have the heavyweight title
It'll
fight in
be
the
November.
UFC between two unranked heavyweights.
Sure will.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
for us, the UFC still has Stipe in their rankings. That is not a joke. Stipe is still firmly entrenched in the UFC's heavyweight rankings. I think he's 3, but I have them right up. I'm sorry, he's 5. Stipe is number 5. Stipe has not won a fight in 4 years and has not competed in 3.
I
They
mean,
pulled
UFC
Lauren
heavyweight
Murphy
is a
from the rankings.
wasteland, so I get
It
that
is.
they'd want to like
He
kinda keep
hasn't
his name there.
fought in 3 years. They cut Tatiana Suarez from the rankings. He hasn't fought in 3 years. And the last time he fought,
that's
he
so
got
shameless.
blown up. Like,
That's
it
so
is
shameless.
shameless.
That is so
They
shameless.
pulled Lauren Murphy after like being out for 6 months after the Jessica Andrade fight. For
They
quote,
pulled Leon
inactivity.
just because they didn't like his ass.
They pulled Leon because of the Hamzat fight. That
They
And
pulled
Nate-
Leon because he
Nate ended
turned
up
down
getting
a fight and they
negotiation.
were mad.
Yeah, Nate, they had the contract dispute and then they pulled him too. There's been all kinds of
Yeah.
shit like that.
Steve
by the way,
at
you know
5
what?
is
the only
maybe the
rankings
most
matter.
shameless shit I've ever seen.
It's
though.
bad. That's really bad. You should be higher. There's you know what's so funny about the Dana White no to
No.
the idea of the Conor McGregor. The other thing related to this was Buckley on the mic being like, Dana, blah blah blah, put me in the main event. Next question, or like, thanks for coming out, folks. Like he just ended it. He's just giving Buckley like no time. He just does not have time for any of
You
Buckley's
got the co-main.
He's over it. I know, but he's like, Derrick Lewis doesn't want to fight here. Put me in the
Which is
main.
smart.
Here, Dana.
yeah.
Maybe-
Tickets did not sell for this card. They sold a little bit more during fight week, but Buckley they positioned Buckley in a good light heading in.
Maybe Dana's just threading the needle between our two positions of I hate this and think it's stupid, and I'm not going to even talk about it. So it's just the worst outcome for you. He's just finding that lane of perfect harmony between us, Rick.
Just
one
ignore.
word
Ignore
answers are
completely.
bad. One word
No.
answers from Dana are bad. No. Next
right.
question.
Man, it didn't
Leave you
take
off.
long for us to get out of that like happy UFC 300 Dana. You guys remember that when he was like vibing, talking all about it? Now we're getting no.
No.
We have a $9.99 super chat.
Oh
With a
boy,
very
let's
important
go.
comment. This
Is it
gentleman.
Achilles?
No. You have a new friend.
Is it Cross?
Mr. Senor
Okay.
Pepe spent $10 to tell you that.
I'm sure
That's
that's how he wants you to pronounce his name as well.
So
That's
there we go.
Sure.
Thanks for writing it.
All right. We got
I,
some.
I appreciate you letting me know.
Max, 20 Bing rips later, and I'm still watching Jed.
You weren't here for the people's pre-fight.
Yeah.
Max, I am
Yeah.
proud of you, assuming that that's legal where you live, and you just keep on trucking, bud. I bet
Let's go.
you had a more enjoyable viewing experience than I did for large swaths of this card. But this wasn't a bad card, and there certainly were some great highlights.
Yeah.
It did
else
drag
we
in
got?
some of the middle section, though.
Let's talk about Lazy. My favorite fight of the night.
Lazy was Robeski stunned by a bee. Where was his EpiPen? Yeah, man. CDF's a
Dude,
thumper.
that post-fight photo is a tough hang.
That's what I was gonna say. If
Yeah.
Lazy Bed, if you haven't gone to his Instagram, go find his Instagram. It looks like something out of a demonic possession movie. He's crying blood. It's gnarly stuff. So go find his Instagram if you.
Can we pull
enjoy
that up?
I'll get it. It's where'd you?
It-
Is that on the?
Dropped
where'd
it
you put
into Fight Week, maybe.
Yeah.
It's in Fight Week.
Yeah, I dropped it into Fight Week at 10:39 East Coast. That was a sick fight. Diego Ferreira is a monster, man.
Yep.
39 years young, and just the toughest division.
I mean,
Oh,
yeah, he's just not,
man.
he just doesn't get to be a lightweight contender. which
Holy
sucks, man.
smokes, man!
It's real bad, boys.
Wow.
Jeez.
CDF
Bad.
is a real
Bad.
dude still.
Yeah.
It's a real dude still.
You know what I
not
respect though?
mention CDF.
He posted this. He was like,
like that.
"Yo, this was
Yeah.
Yeah.
I respect that." He's like, "I got my."
Let's
ass
be
kicked."
real clear, Rick. He didn't post shit because he can't see Instagram to post it. Someone on his team posted this photo.
Yeah.
They're
But
like, "You look horrible. We're gonna post this. Sign off on it."
But I like the
Jesus.
but you see, in his Instagram post, he puts the emoji like this guy. Whatever.
Rough day at
Beck,
the office.
Yeah.
you need a better team around you. They did you dirty putting this one up.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Man, CDF still got it.
That was an awesome performance. Shout out to him.
Michael Harris. Connor buys out Matt Brown's contract for a fight with Mike Perry.
What does he mean? What do you
Yeah,
mean?
it
by
wouldn't
that?
shock me.
Well, he's still on your UFC contract, right?
What does
Or
he
is
mean?
actually?
Yeah.
Matt?
No,
oh
he's-
yeah, because he.
Matt
Oh
Brown.
yeah, I see what he's saying.
Yeah.
Because
He
Connor
gets
is
him
now
out
on
of
a-
the UFC deal to do. Got it.
I don't
Wait,
even
no,
think
and I
he
think-
has to do that. I think the UFC would just let Matt Brown go fight in BKFC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They let
I think
Ted
so,
Mendez
too.
do it.
They have
let
a
others.
they have a good relationship with Feldman. I think that they wouldn't have any issues with him being like, "Hey, I'd like to go do this."
I agree with that. I think
Could
he
be
like
wrong.
that fight, and that would be a sick fight. So yeah, I'm all for
I also
that.
think that is potentially possible still happening, though. Some of the stuff we've heard, maybe it's less likely than I would have thought like a week ago.
Yeah.
I hope the money's right, and I kind of want to see it. So, but
Yeah,
I would
it's
love
great.
to see it. I would
Matt
absolutely
Brown-
love to see it.
But if Matt Brown's ready to move on in his life, happy trails, sir. Happy trails. Because you have to be ready for this. You got to be ready for it. Because you can't just do it for the money. Because there has to be something else if you want to get in there and fight.
I don't know. Todd Duffy did it. Terrific. He got paid
Well, I
and
mean-
got out of there. It's fine.
Well,
Matt
if you
Brown
want,
seems
how
like
about
the-
if you want to win? If you want to go in there and win. How about that?
I got Mike with that one.
Yeah.
Matt seems like
Oh my god, that was so funny. What a delivery.
Matt
Not
seems
good
like
about
the
that
right
one.
type of psycho for it. I'll say that. Matt seems like
Oh,
he's
man.
loco. You know, he seems like he'd be willing to scrap in that setting.
Also, shouts to the UFC. I did not expect them to do a Matt Brown like baby tribute. That was nice of them. Like good work.
That was
very
I enjoyed that.
I
And
love
the
the
Art
Art
Jimerson
Jimerson thing. Really good. Yeah, they did a good job. They did a good
on
job.
point.
I ran into Art Jimerson a few years ago at a local vegetarian restaurant, and I was like, "There's Art Jimerson," and I took a photo of him, and he gave me a little postcard with the photo of him in the cage wearing his one glove.
I love
Oh,
that.
that's
awesome.
amazing.
That's
All right.
so
Nice guy
awesome.
too. Super
Yeah,
nice guy.
very nice guy. Yeah. R.I.P. Sir.
Yeah.
All right.
I would love to see Matt Brown be KFC. I actually think like he won't. I don't think he'll have the same success that Mike Perry has, but I think he'd be like pretty damn close. I think he's got that potential. Is it true Dana said no more Apex events? Where did he say that?
Post
I
fight,
saw
that's not what he
something about that in
said.
the post fight.
I'm
It's
sure
not.
he didn't.
It's not what he said. He said that he's been saying, and obviously doing this, so I haven't watched closely. Said that he's been saying for a while they got to get out of the Apex more. It's basically echoing what the TKO call said, where they need to spend less time at the Apex. They're not going to not do anymore, but
Oh yeah.
it does sound like they're going to do less of it. Honestly, mostly because they can get site fees by going places. So yeah,
By the way,
which is good.
just like
Anything that
earlier
gets them out of
this
the Apex,
week,
good.
TKO Chief Financial Officer Andrew Schleimer said the following about Apex shows, which
Yeah, Dana
obviously
functionally
is
echoes
aware.
this statement.
Those Apex events do carry the lowest cost structure for us to hold them on our home turf in Las Vegas. I don't think we found the perfect mix yet, meaning mix of Apex and shows on the road, but rest assured, we're looking at the numbers and working to do so. So I don't think their Apex shows are going anywhere, but I do think they're trying to find a better balance between like how often they're leaving the Apex and the Apex. So I
Here's
wouldn't
how
take
you
it like
do it,
out of
boys.
there.
You do one Apex show, one fight night show, and one pay-per-view a month. And during the summer months, you sprinkle in, you do a fight, you do that 12-week period where you, instead of doing 3 times a month, you just do one every week, and you add in a couple extra fight nights and a couple extra Apex shows. And that gets you to 40 events in a year, and you're good. It's not that hard. This is the simplest thing in the goddamn world, and it shouldn't be that difficult to get to where you need to be.
I was shocked how hot that crowd was during the Buckley fight. I was like, I just
And he-
didn't. Yeah.
When he was he-manning those takedowns, they were going nuts. Yeah, that was something.
Yeah.
He brought some.
Crowd was
people in
very
there.
live.
Yeah. What were those cheers when Costa was doing the takedowns or whatever? They were booing him. Walter. Yeah.
Yeah, because that
He
was
didn't have the crowd on his
awful.
side.
All right. Some more super chats.
RS75Z, CDF versus Zellhuber, Buckley versus Sean Brady. I kind of feel like Buckley's going to get the Sean Brady fight. I kind of feel like
Feels
that's
so
what they're gonna
mean
do.
to CDF. He just did Prospect D, and now you're going to make him do it again against a bigger one.
It is kind of a good lane for him, though. You know, like
I
it's
mean,
like,
it is his lane, but
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
He's been that lane
makes
for a
me
while.
feel bad.
They could throw him in there with Mictebek Oralby too. That'd be pretty fun.
Again,
That's
still
kind of
doing
like
that.
where
It's
I would
not
put
like
it's the
he's
same
Oralby
kind
right
of
now.
concept. It's the same kind of
Yeah.
concept, though, right? It's like
Zellhuber's,
getting the toughest-
I mean, yeah, Zellhuber's
Yeah,
20.
this
How old
is-
is Zellhuber? 24?
Yeah, 24, 25, because he debuted
Yeah.
and was like 23. That was a year and a
Yeah,
half
he's
ago.
a freaking problem, man. Buckley versus Sean Brady. I like that. I don't know if that's what my Otno pick's going to be, but there's a very good chance it's going to be Sean Brady.
Wait, I want to ask you a question real quick about Buckley's. Actually, it's Buckley's because we focus so much on the call out, but on his actual performance. Is he a legit top 10 guy? Was that Luque victory? Was that like, oh man, Buckley is like he's gonna be a guy? Okay,
Luque was a shell of a fighter in that fight. Like that was one of the worst
Yes.
performances I've seen this year. He didn't look like he belonged in a cage. So I was really looking forward to that fight because I believe that Joaquin Buckley has looked really good at 170 to that point and has like some skills that are going to be interesting for people. He's just also such like a physical specimen and such a good athlete. So that I was really looking forward to the measuring stick that the Luque fight was going to be. And that was just an absolute nothing. I learned nothing from that fight.
It's
He
so
shouldn't
weird.
have been in there.
I
It
was
nothing.
so curious about this fight because I just didn't know who Buckley was, and I'm kind of in the same spot after 15 minutes, and it kind of annoys me. But
Yeah.
I think we're all kind of in the same boat, right?
His opponent tonight was extremely flawed, and like he exploited those flaws, and it really didn't like teach me much. So I kind of still don't know. Like I thought the Luque fight was the one I was going to find out. I would definitely find out something about him against Sean Brady, like I did about Bilal Muhammad. So that I think makes a lot of sense as a fight. But I do believe like at 170, he's looked good.
And Sean Brady, Nursultan Rudzabayev, teammates.
Ooh.
Yeah,
teammates.
Perfect. Love it.
Gracie Philly dude. So Sean can get one back for his teammate. So I kind of do like that fight. But like, that was like one of the things I thought of after that fight was like, did we learn anything more about Joaquin Buckley?
I mean, I
we
think
learned
that's
that St. Louis likes him.
Yeah.
I thought we all knew that we weren't going
that.
to, because that was the matchup. This was just getting him on St. Louis.
But there are things that can happen in that fight where we would have gone, oh, okay, that Luque fight wasn't a fluke. That wasn't Luque having a bad night. That was Buckley. Because I think
he's just hard against the guy who we also don't like. We still don't really know who Rudzabayev is. So when you have two unknown,
I learned more about him.
To learn a ton.
I learned more about
him. That dude got a chin on his ass. God damn.
Yeah, he got a chin, but like just kind of what's the word?
Weird,
skittish,
limited.
Like just a little bit freaky,
limited.
just a little bit like weird, and it just doesn't. The package doesn't come all together just yet. Some interesting moments, but like the ceiling is there for him at the moment.
I think he is clearly much better served at middleweight than welterweight.
Yeah, I was about to say
the speed was massively
middleweight.
problematic.
Stay at middleweight.
He did.
He had a lot of right ideas. Yeah. He had a lot of good ideas. He just was fighting in molasses compared to Buckley, and it was real trouble for him.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, what was the official call on the up kicks to the back? Because they stood him up.
He stopped it as if it was a penalty.
But
it did not look like it was, but it's also like real very in the neighborhood. It's almost a penalty. It's like that's about as close as being a very clear, ridiculous penalty as possible. And so he stopped it. And I think Keith Peterson thought he hit him in the head.
It felt to your point like he stopped it on intent, right? You are kicking way too close to his head. We're going to kick him in the head, so I'm going to stop it here. And he just did not kick him in the head.
You're pretty clearly kicking and don't care if it hits him in the head.
Yes, exactly.
Like you are firing this gun into a crowd, and sure, you haven't hit anyone yet, but you are going to hit someone.
That was it.
This behavior is not acceptable.
That was it, 100%.
So
and I don't agree with that.
Which was the wildest shit too.
Yeah, I don't think he should have.
Yeah, I don't.
And then let Joaquin just choose what he wanted to do. Do you want to stay down here, or do you want to stand it up?
Well, that I get. If you're stopping. If you're stopping it, I'm okay with him giving him that option. That makes sense to me. I'm okay with Buckley getting the choice there, and he took the choice that I wouldn't have taken. So credit to him. I would have put him right back down there.
Oh, I was just saying. I think it's the wildest shit that Rudzabayev was like, "I'm just gonna kick this dude."
After he threw like
flagrantly not caring whether he fouls. It's insane.
Buckley just stood there
he threw four of them, not just one.
It was awesome.
After Buckley got kicked, it was a silly fight. He's just sitting there. Buckley's just getting kicked, and he's just looking at the referee like this. And then Rudzabayev just looks right at him and then does it again.
Fires another
tries
one,
to hit him right in the face. And then they're like, okay. It was hilarious.
Buckley going for a triangle? It's the funniest shit I've seen. That third round was ridiculous. I thought there was a real chance Buckley was going to turf that win by rolling into a triangle. It's like, oh my God. And then I still I got to go rewatch it and figure out Rudzabayev tried to go on the back like he wasn't a Barambolo because he wasn't coming through the legs. He was coming over the back like a squirrel jump in wrestling. It was the weirdest shit I've ever seen. The fight was so silly. It was very fun.
All right. A few more super chats before we get out of here.
Just because you suck doesn't mean I don't like you, Jed. I mean, that's respect right there.
$9.99.
I hate you, but I respect you.
And that's okay. I was not mad when you said I sucked. I said, okay, thanks for letting me know.
Yeah.
We ain't got no beef. I only got beef with Cross because Cross is an idiot and has bad taste.
Cross was in the comments, and he did agree if everything Mr. Jackman was saying earlier in the.
I love
So that's
Cross.
my
Cross
case.
sounds like a smart man. He sounds like
You
a
don't-
well-educated.
You don't
I
know
mean,
Cross
I
like
feel
I
like
know
we won.
Cross.
Yeah,
Uh,
I feel like that just solidifies our win of Cross
Yeah.
on Eric's team right now.
This reminds me, where's that coward Achilles Jr.? He should be in here. But shout out to Cross, who's an absolute legend.
Cross
But
is
I
a
do
legend. Not necessarily for good reason.
there he is. There he is. Casey,
He's
well
back,
done.
baby.
Well done on the timing.
Bilal and Rick are the worst human beings in the world.
In the world.
INDA world. In the world.
You indirectly compliment me and put me in the best company. Bilal Muhammad, a sound human and a rightful contender to the welterweight throne. Coming
Might
to
be.
Manchester near you soon. Shout out to Bilal
Hopefully.
Muhammad and to Achilles Jr.
Yeah, only $199 though. Come on. All right.
Yeah, you don't love me as I mean,
Yeah.
this guy gave $20 Senor Pepe to shit on Jed. What's up with this $199 garbage? Although I will say Achilles Jr. usually comes with like multiple bullets in the chamber, so right
He's
back in.
been firing
And,
a lot, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. A couple more super chats.
Dustin, Parker Porter versus Parker Porter confirmed at UFC 303.
No, no.
I mean,
No,
don't
Porter
throw me with
Parker.
that.
Porter
Oh, Parker
Parker.
Porter versus Porter Parker. Ah, yeah,
Porter.
sweet.
That's not even the right way to mess up his name. It's a meaner way
Porker
to mess up his
Parter,
name
right?
that we do a
Yeah.
lot by accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Parker Porter, baby.
Parker Porter and Porker Potter.
Say there's honestly been there has never been a UFC release that has garnered more longevity and hopes of a comeback than Parker Porter. He's mentioned on every show, like literally every show. What's he doing? When's he coming back? Who should he fight? Should the UFC bring him back to fight Alex Pereira at UFC 301? Like all these different questions because
Would've
Pereira
been a
wanted to
great
fight
idea.
heavyweight. Tremendous.
Would that be the best redemption run since like Brandon Moreno if he came back?
It'd be awesome.
Yeah. I feel like Brandon's
I'm
like the
still
gold standard.
rooting
Like
for
he'd be
Will
right
Brooks.
Yeah.
Oh man, Will Brooks.
Will
I
Brooks.
Don't even
tried.
get me started on that.
Yeah.
We
I
tried
do
so
love
hard.
Will Brooks.
I did try a lot on social media. I was like, come on, Will. Get in there.
I honestly don't understand why.
season.
I just don't
The
get
redemption
why.
season. You're at the redemption season. The Ultimate Fighters, the pros trying to get back in against the rookies trying to make their debuts. And Will Brooks didn't get on the show. It was insane. He was a no-brainer.
He was a
absolute
coach.
no-brainer.
Yep. I know. All right.
Crazy.
Lazy Bed.
Chaos Williams co-main event next week at the world's most famous Apex. Yes.
Next
Who's he
week
fighting?
is the tough.
Is he
hand.
fighting Wellington Sherman?
Carlston Harris?
Carson Harris. Yep, that's what it is.
Who's the main
Yeah.
event next week?
Barboza Murphy.
Barboza and
yeah.
Who?
Main event's fine.
Lerone
Lerone
Murphy.
Murphy.
Oh, Murphy.
That's
Yeah,
that's
that's
a great
fine.
fight.
I dig.
Makes sense. It's just not a spice.
There's
But
Pinheiro, Angela Hill, which is a
oh yeah,
ranked
that's good.
fight, and that's.
And then
That's it.
people.
I don't know your opinions on Vanessa Demopoulos, Emily Ducote, but that's a fight, and then it's.
I like Dakota. Yeah, that's fun. That's actually fun. I dig that. All right, I'm in.
It's Apexy.
It's real apexy. Chase.
Yeah.
What's up, Chase? Adrian Yana is back as well, competing on that card against Vinicius Salvador.
You know what? This all
Temba
sounds pretty
Garimbo?
decent to me.
Tembo Garimbo. And yes, Tom Nolan, Jed's favorite Contender Series fighter.
Look,
And
he's
even-
making me so mad if he loses this damn fight. I was killing it. I am perfect on my top prospects off Contender Series list right now, but for Tom Nolan.
And then even, yes, the one-time Apex headliner himself is back in the world's most famous warehouse. Abu Smagomedov is back against
The boss.
Worley Alves.
Get out! No way!
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Back in the Apex, baby, where he belongs.
Scene of the
Might
crime.
have a-
All right,
I
I like
seven
this.
fart score here, Jed. Might have a 7
It
fart
is,
card.
it is super not that.
Who do you think takes the 303 main event? I personally think if Connor isn't completely coked out, he should spark Mike in 2 because he's the dumbest fighter on the roster.
Wow! Yikes!
Look,
Yeah, this speaks to
Every-
you. This speaks
everyone
to
is
you.
aware of my feelings on Michael Chandler and how he sucks and I hate him. Objectively, not the dumbest fighter on the
No.
roster, and I would say not even like particularly dumb. It's not why I
No.
dislike him. we've seen a lot dumber things recently from fighters. I have
Okay,
no
can I
idea
say, though,
what to make of this fight.
would
Yeah,
you
please say.
consider that he's probably a better fighter than he shows because he's decided when he got into the UFC that he wants to get into wars more than win fights? Would you say that that's dumb? Because there is probably an element of dumbness to that. But other than that, like, I agree with you.
No.
Technically, he's not a very dumb fighter. But it served him well, right? He's got a Conor fight now.
I think he's the only reason I don't hate him more is because of what he has done in the UFC. Like, he is just fun now, at least. So it's hard to be a hater when he's objectively very fun.
Yeah,
Because he's been very fun.
I mean, our boy Armin roasted
fight of
him.
the year
Said
and a
you
bunch of
could've-
great fights. It's hard.
He said you
I
could
can't be
have. Yeah, that Armin roast, where he said you could have lost 4 like fight of the year or fight of the night bonuses and lose in the time since you fought Conor. That was a real dagger, but also true because Michael Chandler really does put on great fights. I think Conor's going to win. I mean, look, famous last words. It could potentially be stupid. He could show up and just have. There's a real high chance. There's a real high chance that Conor McGregor shows up, has 2 minutes of gas, throws the kitchen sink at him, and then is just absolutely cooked. And Michael Chandler's cardio takes him into the second round, and then he just destroys Conor. Real chance that happens. I would say that the odds are probably going to look that way, and most people are going to be betting that way. But if he's even like a decent version of himself, I just think he's going to have some tools that he's going to be able to use against Michael Chandler, and I would think that will be enough. But man, like betting on, I hope a good version of Conor shows up is real rough to do in 2024. But if he does, I favor Conor. I favor Conor in that fight.
Do you favor the? You know what? We have so much time to talk about this.
Yeah,
I'm not even gonna.
Yeah, I think in the primes I would eat like you pick both of them out of their primes. I would easily pick Conor. I think it would be a very, very good fight for him. I don't know, man. I'm probably gonna pick Chandler. I don't know. You guys remember when Weidman came back from shattering his leg and was like visibly petrified about getting touched in the leg? Pretty tough to come back from that. Like maybe he can, and it's not like he can't. Michael Chandler sucks. It's easy to beat people who suck, but I don't know. I'll probably pick Michael Chandler and hate myself for it.
All right.
There's just such weird vibes about that fight because, like, obviously they're gonna push it and it's like fun and exciting. And looking at the calendar, we're like 6 weeks away from it happening. But I'm also at the point, like, I'm at the point where like I've accepted that it's probably going to happen, but I just can't fully get there until we get to fight week. Yeah, I need to see them both at media day in a press conference. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I need to see that first, and then I'll be like, all right, we're good. We're good.
I believe this one's happening. You know me, I'm always anti it happens until it happens. But whenever Conor has signed a contract, he showed up. And Michael Chandler, I think as long as his legs are still attached to his body, will show up for this fight. So it's going to happen.
I think Michael Chandler will show up with no legs because he knows what this represents for his 100%. Career. I don't think he has to be alive.
I'm not sure
weekend
the
at
commission
Bernie's
would
his
allow
ass
that.
into the. Listen,
there ain't legs to fight.
You actually do need legs to fight, Casey. It's pretty.
That is not true. There are sanctioned fights. Zion Clark, literally no legs. He has a victory in mixed martial arts.
I agree. Was that in the UFC? Remember when the UFC wouldn't sign? What's the one-arm fighter's name?
Nick Newell.
Nick Newell.
Yeah. Nick Newell, who was like objectively a fighter, and they were like, "No, we're not doing this."
Was he a favorite against Justin Gaethje?
One of my favorite things about MMA is that they put Nick Newell in against Justin Gaethje.
I was just thinking about that.
Same thing that's ever happened.
Okay, Jed, you might remember this. Was he not a favorite?
I don't remember if he was a favorite or not, but I just remember everyone who knew anything was like, he's going to die.
Yeah,
what are we doing?
That was a weird one. That was a real weird one.
It's fine. Like, he kind of deserves it. He's going to die.
He was a huge underdog.
He was a big dog. Okay, that would make more sense. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that should have been plus 3,000 if we're being honest, but yeah, I mean,
it was an insane thing. It was.
He did better than James Vick or whatever.
He's a talented fighter. But he is
a talented fighter.
Objectively hilarious. Hey, here's one of the most violent dudes in the sport. Go get him, Tiger.
Yeah, it was just a weird one where like they had no stars at WSOF and they were trying to like make things happen and this was just not a thing you needed to make happen.
And
That's all.
he'd
like
won a
Newell
bunch of
is a good
fights.
fighter.
Get it?
Yeah.
He was a very good fighter.
Yeah.
It was just, I think about that all the time. And just like, yeah, you guys put a one-arm fighter in against Justin fucking
One
Gaethje.
hand fight. He had one hand.
It was
He had an arm. He had an arm.
That was an incorrect. I was incorrect there. You were correct.
It was less about Newell, and it was just like a misunderstanding of like what Justin Gaethje was.
I think that's more true.
I used to do public relations at the time for WSOF. Like I think I came on at WSOF 2, and when I saw Marlon Moraes and when I saw Justin Gaethje, I was like, "Yep, like these guys have outgrown this promotion from fight one. Like they are absolute killers that could be in a UFC octagon and smoke people right now."
Yeah,
and turns out that was right. But like they fought for a minute with WSOF, and it was just tough. They were trying to.
They had the best deal in the sport. Justin Gaethje made so much money to beat the shit out of people who could never beat him, but he still made it fun because he would let Luis Palomino hit him a bunch. It was
with
awesome.
a contract. And for both of them, with contracts negotiated by their manager, who was also working at the promotion.
owner.
Which, nice little gravy train going.
The best deal in the sport for like 3 years.
That really was just like a misunderstanding of Justin Gaethje. Like this is not.
It was so insane.
Quick follow up from Chase.
Nothing would be funnier than Chandler pulling out.
He ain't. Nope, he ain't.
Chandler's coming.
No,
genuinely, like out of no hyperbole. What do you think it would take to get Michael Chandler to pull out of this fight?
Not be able to physically walk.
Yeah, the doctor.
I agree. I actually think that is the
wheelchair.
line as well.
Yeah. He has a staph infection. He tries to hide it, and the doctors see it.
He will mask.
That's not him pulling out. That's him getting pulled. Slight difference.
Well, all right. Well,
but also doctors let people fight with staph all the time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's going to be something weird.
Like, if he blew out his knee tomorrow,
he's fighting.
He is absolutely fighting.
He's fighting.
ACL be damned.
You can fake it. You know.
Yeah.
You can fake it. But wouldn't it be
they don't
amazing?
Ask you to jump?
At the weigh-ins, they bring the backup fighter, and out comes Joaquin Buckley.
Amazing is the word I get for, but it would be objectively funny.
Really? Yeah.
They should absolutely do that.
Dude, imagine Buckley's the backup fighter. Buckley's the backup fighter. Just imagine that.
The timing on some of these Buckley Connor jokes you've had tonight, I must say, Casey, just chef's kiss. Beautiful. Thank you for that.
That's why I make this great.
If that happens, I'll rescind everything I've ever said.
Man, you know what? If Joaquin Buckley said called to be the backup fighter for that, I actually don't know if I'd be as upset.
No,
somebody interesting did, right?
Stupid,
Didn't somebody interesting
just
just
Charles Oliveira?
Oh, Charles! Oh God, please, that'd be amazing if Charles got lined
did
up
ask
for that. Oh man,
he said, but he said under one condition, that if it's Connor, I get to renegotiate my deal. In the UFC, probably
it's like asking for no. Yeah,
that's a no.
Charles is just hittable enough where like I could see how Connor could win. He would not win, but I could see how he could win.
Real quick, because casual fan wants to put it out there.
See, I didn't even pay attention to the freaking Celtics. Tell me they won.
They won.
Thank freaking Christ. Oh, Jason Tatum scored 33 points. All right, at least he showed up with a pair of testicles tonight. So that's good because he's looked awful and no balls. But
he shot 11 for 28, 11 for 25 to get there. Yeah, he's kind of not good.
All right. And our last two super chats before we get out.
Oh, that's
gents, thanks for all the content. My man Elder
Bulbasaur. Thanks for being with us, bro.
And our last one from our good friend, Mr. Senor Pepe.
Damn, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you.
We didn't get. I thought
you're only worth.
I know I'm only worth half.
A quarter.
You're only worth $4.99.
I'm only worth a quarter of Jed, but I do thank you for including me after you had spent. Hey, wait a minute. After you had spent $20 on Jed. So thank you for including me. You are way more of a respectable person than that coward Achilles Jr. Who would only spend $2 this time. I mean, what is that? Get out of here.
Get a job. Come on.
Yeah,
All right.
come on. Mike
I don't
eats
know whether
coffee.
to
What are
be-
we doing here?
Yeah, I know. I mean,
Yeah.
I have coffee for the month now. Thank you. You guys are the best.
We're gonna say Jed.
It's so funny that people
I
actually
just-
think that it's the best.
Casey, you clearly understand the reference. Rick, I know you don't. I thought that more people would be deeply interneted to be like, you got to talk about Chase Hooper and the Mr. Hands reference. And you didn't. And I don't know if that should make me feel old or what. Or if I should just be proud of how quality our chat is that they don't know it. So
I'm very like original
Don't.
internet meme, e-bombs. Like I was all over these things. I don't know this
I
one.
can't believe
and
you missed that one.
I didn't know this
Maybe
one.
you just
and
don't
per
remember
your,
the name.
Maybe. Per your
If you
rec,
were
I didn't look at it.
that, don't.
Yeah.
Don't. You're good.
Yeah,
Also,
All right,
super
I will
don't do it
not.
on a
I
work
will not.
computer.
I will
Yeah,
not.
yeah. Incognito mode. Incognito mode.
Yeah.
I will not.
All right,
If you were
I've seen-
if you were proto internet e-bombs world
Yes,
cracked and
100%
that
I
sort
was.
of thing, then I'm fairly certain you actually do know it.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm forgetting the name because I do remember, BW, LP, a lot of the like famous ones. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
yeah. So yeah, I just missed this
Spin.
one, or maybe I didn't. Yeah, maybe I didn't. But shout
if
out.
you know about LP and the spin and you probably know Mr. Hands, you just don't remember
Okay.
it.
Okay.
But
okay.
I didn't think 24-year-old Chase Hooper was going to come with that one for us. So
Maybe it's having a revival on TikTok right now or something.
I
Or
hope
probably
it's
not on
not.
TikTok. Probably not.
We don't need that.
Probably not.
we don't need that part of our lives. But shout out to Chase Hooper, the best you've ever looked.
Yeah, dude's becoming a man. He's
The
definitely
man.
becoming
Grown
a
man,
Mark
baby.
Lawrence. Grown man Chase Hooper is a big problem. Thank you all very much. Much appreciated. AK and I doing some matchmaking tomorrow. Next week, back at the world's most famous Apex. Then we get a weekend off. And then it's UFC 302. Can Dustin Poirier get it done? So a lot to look forward to. So AK and I will see you tomorrow. Appreciate you guys watching. And shout out to all the moms out there. Happy Mother's Day tomorrow.
Shout out.
You all can't do this shit without any of you. So have a good night, everybody.
Joaquin
Love
Buckley
y'all.
versus Conor McGregor.
Never. Oh.